doesn't count me down, guys. Welcome to the Do It Anyway podcast. This is episode 7. My producer did not count me in. I'm so sorry. I was not ready. Welcome to the Do It Anyway podcast with Maria Redmond. I am your host, Maria Redmond, and I'm here to take you on this wild journey of everything fitness, wellness, nutrition, and everything in between. So thank you for having me today. I want to let you know that if you have not yet checked out my past episodes, you can check them out on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And with that, let's get into episode 7. So with this episode, I wanted to get into a little bit of the different nutritional protocols, like what nutritional protocol is best for fat loss. And notice, first and foremost, I didn't say weight loss. I think it's not a good idea to do things around the theory of weight loss. So let me break that down for 1 second and what I mean. Everyone is consumed with losing weight. As a coach, if I want to get you to lose weight, I can get you to lose weight really quickly. Does that mean that you lost fat, though? That's the question. So I can put you in such a severe deficit of calories that I can create weight loss on a scale to appease you and have you skinny fat. Because what in essence will happen is the deficit will probably yield you burning up a good amount of your muscle mass that you currently have, and that will make the scale dip quite fast. So I want you to change your mindset around the word of weight loss. Weight loss is not always a positive thing, and start changing it to fat loss. So what nutritional protocol is best for fat loss? And why am I calling it nutritional protocol? Because if you remember, if you've listened to my past episodes, I'm trying to get you away from the word diet, right? So we're going to go with nutritional protocol here. And that's what I'm going to use in all the episodes going forward. So with that, let's get into some key things. First and foremost, before I get into the different nutritional protocols, I want to reiterate, anytime you're about to go on a fat loss journey or recomping your body, I want you to really take a moment and consider a few things. 1, let's reaffirm your why. I said this in the second episode, and I really mean it. You need to figure out what your why is, because the journey of fat loss can be a very difficult and convoluted one that will 100% affect your emotions and your mental. Sometimes not always in a positive way. There'll be peaks and valleys of this journey, and you will need to be able to fall back on your why you're doing this to take you throughout the journey. So I want you to really solidify your why. That's going to be just key to figuring out exactly what you want to do. Then the next thing that I want you to figure out, and I think that this is important and often overlooked by so many coaches when they're taking on clients in the general population space. And what I mean by that is people who are not competing for anything. You need to find a box. So I tell my clients there's 3 boxes. There's an 85, 15, a 90-10, and a 95. And those boxes mean 85% of the time in box number 1, 85% of the time you're okay with sticking to a nutrition plan, but you need that 15% to eat what you want, drink, the alcohol that you want, and maybe work out only 3 times a week. If that's your box, there's nothing wrong with that, because that in that box, the 85-15, you can improve your overall health and wellness, right? But just understand that you're probably going to look like crap. Like, you won't look fit. You might lose some weight, but that fit look, if that's what you want, that's not going to be a part of that box. And in that box, you might be teetering on some unhealthy, biomarkers when it comes to your cholesterol and blood pressure and stuff like that. So, but if that's your box, that's your box for now. Maybe that's the box you start in if you're just getting started on this journey, right? Because that's what you can, remember I said in episode 1, you don't want to do too much too fast. So maybe you start with 85-15. The next box is 90-10. I live in the 90-10 box when I'm in my off season approach. And so 90% of the time I'm on, 10% of the time I'm off. And when I say off, I'm having some off meal plans. Maybe I'll have off plan meals. Maybe I'll have them 4 to 5 times a month. But in that 10%, it's still not, I still am not eating like, any foods I want. What I do is I'll go to a restaurant and I'll say, I'd like, grilled chicken, grilled salmon, or of some type of beef with, a small amount of carbohydrates. I might say, can you bring out the rice, but only half a portion of the rice and a vegetable? And then I'll finish off by saying no butter, no oil. And I get it. Some of you right now are like, why did you even go out to eat then? Because I wanted to spend time with my friends, family, or significant other, whomever I'm with at that time. I wasn't going for the meal. So it's worth it to me to be with them and spend that time and cultivate my food that way. And I'm comfortably fine with that. In that 90-10 box, though, I have really good health markers. I feel great and I'm relatively lean and it works for me. So that's that box. Then you have the last box, the 95-5. This box is not for the faint of heart. You can feel really miserable in this box. Now, you also could look really amazing. You are probably shredded to the bone, but you're also probably very hungry, tired, and irritable because that is a calorie deficit like nobody's business. There's no fun foods. There's no alcohol. There's a lot of hard work in the gym that's going on and very little food going in. So that 95-5 box I say is great for people who are getting on stage, right? That's where that box lives. And so the masses of you will not want to be in that box. So try to avoid 95-5 unless you're competing. So 85-15, 90-10, those are the two boxes. And I always tell my clients, pick the box. And within picking that box, you need to understand exactly what you're going to look like and feel like if you pick those two boxes. So that's also extremely important for you to kind of think about before you start picking the nutritional protocol. Then I think you also need to realize that no matter what box you pick, you're trying to create a new persona, right? You're trying to be better than you were, before. And anytime you're going on a fat loss journey, you are creating a whole new human being, so to speak. You're creating a new persona for yourself. Everything about you, the longer that you stay on that journey, and hopefully you stay on it long term so you can get to the goals that you want, your personality changes, your attitude changes, some people for the worse, which is not good, but mostly for the better. Your perspective on life changes. You'll lose friends. You may lose family members who are not on your, pro team health. So a lot about you changes, but also your look, which is the most important, that changes. And I have to be honest, it's hard sometimes to take in when you get that new look. Like people look at me and they say, oh my gosh, Maria, you look amazing. I don't always see that in the mirror. And it took me a very long time. I mean, lots of years to really look at myself and accept the way that I look. Now I think I'm pretty decent with it. I still have my moments. But just being able to accept that you've transformed yourself is a whole different thing. Some people exude confidence, and for some it's a kind of uncomfortable feeling in the beginning. And so I want you to be aware of that, of those three things going into this journey before thinking about nutritional protocols and what's best for fat loss. So let's get into the different nutritional protocols. There's tons of them out there. So I'm just going to touch on like the big ones that are out there that everyone's kind of working with right now. So the most common that people tend to do when they start their weight loss, and I hate weight loss, we already said fat loss journey, is the low carb diet. The low carb diet is basically where you're having your carbohydrates between 100 to 150 grams, no more than that. Protein is pretty high and fats are low to moderate. This is an effective nutritional protocol for pretty much everybody, to be quite honest. Um, it has a lot of pros. Why is it effective? Well, it's because you cut the calories down significantly from, a macro. So anytime by way of doing low carb, you're creating a deficit by cutting the macro down, and that's why it's effective. It's a nutritional protocol that allows you to kind of get the best of all the worlds. You get in your albeit carbs, because you don't want to have no carbs if you're in this that pick that, but um, there's some definite cons to it. Low carbohydrates can yield poor energy. Um, it can actually create some nutrition deficiencies if you're not very careful. Uh, it can, lead to osteoporosis, headaches, severe constipation. So there's some cons that go along with that nutritional protocol. But overall, for fat loss, is it effective? Yes. The key is going to be, and you're going to hear me say this a couple times. The key to this nutritional protocol is, can you stick with it long term? That's going to be key for that. So that's low carb. Now let's move over to carnivore. Carnivore is very, very unique. The carnivore diet really is basically ketogenic dieting. It's no more, no less. It's like ketogenic dieting on steroids, though, because it's pretty severe, and I guess it does have a difference by way of you're only eating meats, and so your protein intake is extremely high as opposed to keto. But you're eating meats, dairy, and egg on carnivore diet. Is this protocol a good idea, in my opinion, and looking at studies? Absolutely not. First of all, it's very unsustainable for the masses. Does it yield fat loss? Yes, because you're missing out on a big group of macros, carbohydrates and fats, the other set of fats that you would add to your nutrition. So those are missing, but it's not sustainable, and people often mess up because they will eat like a ribeye every single day. So now you're throwing off your cholesterol. That's going to create high cholesterol. It's just a recipe for disaster. And people lose good weight on it. You lose weight on it. This is fact. But whether it's really fat, that's yet to be measured, because there's not really too many great studies on the carnivore protocol. But there are a lot on the cons. So a lot of gastric issues because you don't have any fiber going in. And that's my biggest concern with this nutritional protocol is there is no fiber. So you're throwing off your gut microbiota. There's also no vegetables going in, so you're missing out on key nutrients and antioxidants, no fruits. It's just, you're just literally putting meat in, and your body needs more of that to function, just to keep hormonal balance and things like that. So there's the carnivore protocol. Can you lose fat on the carnivore protocol? Absolutely. Is it a good one to do long term? Absolutely not. So I don't know if you'd want to pick that. Then we have to move on to its cousin, ketogenic dieting. This was like really popular. I started my journey off of ketogenic dieting, and I've seen it evolve so much over the years. So when I started doing it, I was trying to do it like the very clinical way, which is how they treat epilepsy. And so I was doing extremely high fat, very, very little protein in the beginning, and quickly found out that, oh my gosh, this is not going to be sustainable if I want to lift weights in the gym. So started, putting in higher protein amounts and really balancing and working with that. Now, I lost a crap ton of fat. I mean, I think when I first started it, and I started at 275, and I got down to, gosh, about maybe 230, 240, and it seemed like it happened in just a matter of mere months. Now, yes, I was training and all that good stuff. So, I mean, that played a big role into it. But I mean, the diet really just did play a huge role. But I was eating no carbohydrates at all, except for after 2 months, I was doing a daily refeed on that cheat day that I talked about in one of my episodes, where I'd go crazy on hot dogs and I was eating the bun. So, and lots of other snacks too. So that was kind of considered my refeed, but it took me about 2.5 months to get into a full state of ketosis before I started putting that in once every single week. Um, that I love that protocol. It's highly effective if done correctly. That's the key though, if done correctly. I see so many people now on the ketogenic protocol that are struggling to lose weight. And the big reason is because you're eating garbage food. You're eating all the keto snacks and, you know, nothing but poor quality meats, poor quality bacon all the time. And you're expecting to lose, fat. The reason why you're not losing fat on that protocol is because you're not giving your body an opportunity to oxidize your own body fat. You keep putting in more fat, so your body's using the fat that you put in for energy and not oxidizing rather your own body fat. So that's what's happening. You're also messing up your cholesterol because you're eating a whole bunch of ketogenic processed food snacks just because it's keeping you in your macros, but they're not healthy and they're not effective for the body. So that's my con when it comes to that protocol. Um, that nutrition protocol can also, like the carnivore, lead to migraines, severe gut issues, osteoporosis, heart disease by way of really messing with your lipids, your triglycerides, your cholesterol. So you need to really be careful with their protocol. But is it effective for fat loss? The answer to that is absolutely yes. So let's go to the last protocol that I want to talk about today. A balanced diet. That's where your protein's at 40%, carbohydrates at 30, fats at 30. You're having a little bit of everything. This too is a very effective nutritional protocol, and dare I say it reigns supreme. Why would I say it reigns supreme? You're getting everything that your body needs from all three macronutrients when it breaks down into the micronutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, things in antioxidants. That nutritional protocol sets you up for the best possible opportunity to have complete wellness. You're not devoid or missing any foods, so you're not going to end up feeling like you're missing out on things. It's a very well-versed plan to work with. Why people don't pick it is because of this. It's effective for fat loss, but it's not as fast as the other protocols. Why would that be? Well, because you're not decreasing a whole macronutrient and taking it off the plate, creating a deficit. That's the only reason why. So to answer your question, which nutritional protocol is the best? All of them are. It's the one that you can stick with long term that's going to be key, and the one that's going to have the best benefit for your health long term. There are definitely some people who, for different, gut reasons, that they can't ingest carbohydrates. That is where ketogenic dieting is going to be beneficial for them. And even with that nutritional protocol, they'll still have some wiggle room to put in 50 to 75 grams of carbohydrates on a ketogenic diet, where they can put in fruits and vegetables that they can assimilate, that their gut can assimilate. So that's going to work wonders for them in that nutritional protocol. But if you don't have any health issues, just have a balanced diet. I think that will just take the guesswork out of all of it. Trying to eat a steak every day, I mean, that blows my mind. And on the carnivore diet nutrition protocol, I don't understand why anyone doesn't say, hey, we can still eat lean meats. Like, you don't have to have a T-bone steak or ribeye. You can have lean cuts of steak and chicken. You're eating eggs, so clearly you're okay with chicken. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just mix up your protein sources. Even having some fish, it's still all meat, so to speak, right? So I think that if you pick that nutritional protocol because you want it to be expeditious, you're being a bit short-sighted, if I may say, right? So you're missing kind of the bigger picture. You're kind of too zoned in. You want to lose, you want to lose this weight now, but what type of weight are you losing is something that's going to be critical. If you lose the weight and you feel mushy, well, you've burnt some muscle. And this is typically what happens to most people on any diet that they go on. They pick it and they end up mushy and not firm at all, and kind of like, well, the scale's telling me what I wanted to see, but the mirror is still not telling me what I want to look like. And this is how you end up unhappy. Then you fall into a realm where the body says, oh, I've stalled out, I'm done. And then you don't even know now what to do. So now what do you pivot to another nutritional protocol? Like, what do you do then? So I always tell everyone, let's just stop with the crazy, right? We all grew up, for the most part, eating protein, carbs, and fats. In whatever form that met your plate, just start with that first. Start with that first. Eat it, enjoy it, because I'm telling you, you're going to go on that low carb or that ketogenic diet, and the first minute that you can taste a carbohydrate, you're going to lose your mind. I know, I did it. The Sunday soirees. You're going to eat every carbohydrate in sight like you've never seen them before and kick yourself out of ketosis because you overdid it. And then it's almost like you're starting all over again. So you're going to end up right back on the hamster wheel all over again, because why? That nutrition protocol is not going to be sustainable for you. So I urge you to take time before trying to pick what you want to try out. Know your why, number one, and then really say, hey, is not eating carbohydrates going to work for me? Is not having fruit going to work for me? If the answer to that is no, then you need to not pick those protocols for the sake, just don't pick them. Stay away from them, because honestly, that's going to do you more harm than good. More people that go on diet plans end up gaining 50% plus the weight back at the end of a year. And year two, they've looked at studies and shown where that number goes from 50% of the people that gain back the weight and double to 85%, I think it is, if I'm correct on the number, by year two, that gain the exact weight back plus more in year two. And in year three, it's almost 90% of people that do these 95 rather, of people who do these different diets that gain all of the weight back plus some. So it just goes to show that when you're trying to rewire your brain to take out foods that you love to eat just for the sake of trying to lose some weight, that's not sustainable, and you end up doing harm in the long run. The nutritional protocols, I'm going to say this again, they all work. All of them. All of them work. But the one that you know that you can sustain for a longevity, the longest period of time, is going to be the one that's effective for you. For me, when I finally really learned how to work a ketogenic diet extremely well with whole nutritious foods, I stayed on that nutritional protocol for years and years and years. And it wasn't until I finally said, hey, I would like to start working some more carbohydrates into my, nutrition, that I started eating a bit more carbs. And still, even then, I was very strategic. I would place more carbohydrates around my workout. And it wasn't because I was missing foods. Like I never said, oh, I missed a sandwich or anything like that, because there's so many products out now where, last week I showed you a bread that's completely keto compliant that, you can have a sandwich on. So it wasn't that, but I just wanted to see now if adding back in certain carbohydrates was going to increase my performance. So for me, it was a performance-based issue. And then eventually I started, as I got into triathlon more, at that point, ketogenic bets were off. I tried it in the beginning for a long time, but when I wanted to really push power, I knew that I needed carbohydrates to do that. And so I said, I'm going to start to adopt more of a I don't want to say 40, 30, 30 because I still do eat quite a bit of fats, but I have quite a bit of carbohydrates in my nutritional protocol as well. So I say all that to say this: pick what you can sustain for a long period of time. If you're a person that knows that you're going to miss foods, go to the balanced nutrition protocol approach. Set your macros up and then start with that. Do some activity. Let the activity be the thing that creates the deficit for you. Don't start cutting calories. Use your activity to do the deficit work for you so you can eat that food and enjoy that food. And then as you get to certain, points in your progress, then you can start making decisions like, do I need to decrease my calories? Or do I need to increase my activity? Maybe you're only working out 3 days a week and you've been doing that for a month and it yields you a 7-pound weight loss, which is phenomenal in a month. You should only lose maximum 2 pounds a week. So if you've lost 7 pounds in that first month, that nutritional protocol is working for you. If it's not broke, don't change it. It's when you hit that sticking point for like 3 weeks. Stay with the sticking point for 3 weeks, people. Do not just go crazy because you've plateaued. Plateaus are good. The body's relearning itself. Stick with the plateau. But at the third week, say, okay, I need to make a little bit of a change here. Do I drop my calories or do I extend my activity? If you were coming to me for coaching, the first thing I would do is say, we're going to add another day of training. I'd rather you have more food in your system than less and do the activity. So I'd give you the day. But if you say, okay, no, 3 days is all I can contain right now on my schedule for training, we're busy people, then you're going to take it from your calories, but only cut 50 to 75 calories. No more than that. That is more than enough to create enough of a difference for you to start seeing results. Remember, you were seeing results already. So you just do that 50 to 75. Don't take any more away from that. And then see what it yields you. Let that work for, 2 to 3 weeks. Get to another sticking point. Then make some decisions from there. Maybe again, reassess the activity. Maybe you have more time in your schedule where you say, okay, I can't work out another day, but I can add 10, 15 minutes extra time on my cardio, right? Because that'll make a difference too. So you've added that over those span of those 3 days, that's between 30 to 45 minutes extra of cardio over the span of those 3 days. That's great. That's more caloric burn. So do it that way, and I think that you're going to be fine. So I wanted to kind of come on here and break this down because I think people get so, caught up. Which one do I pick and what's good, what's not good? They all work. Period, point blank. They all work. It's been proven they all work. But what can you stick with? So that's going to be the key. So this one was short, sweet, and simple. Eat your food, but pick a good protocol to eat your food on. And I just wanted to kind of, hopefully that clears the air for you guys. So reiterate really quickly, know your why, find your fitness box, and then assess if you're really ready for the transformation, right? Because you're going to win some things, but you'll also lose some things. So start with that first and then pick your nutritional protocol. So with that, I want to thank you for listening to episode 7 of the Do It Anyway podcast. And I hope that you continue to follow me on this journey of fitness, nutrition, and wellness each and every week. Be sure to check this podcast out on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.